This is News 24, I'm Erin Bates. We're following up on two stories we've already done on the price of fresh goods following the petrol hike last Wednesday. And I'm sitting down with Vicky Baker, who runs Retail Price Watch, which is an independent online comparison website that gives an index of the prices of different consumer goods. Vicky, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
So let's start off with fresh veggies. I know I asked you to have a look at the different prices for retailers, and you looked at different retailers to the ones we did in our last story. What did you find?
Well, it's very important that you choose like for like, because otherwise you're not being fair to the retailers. So we just looked at cauliflower, spinach, and baby marrow. And we looked at it from 2014 to 2016, and we looked at it from Spar, Checkers, Pick n Pay, and ShopRite. So it's exactly the same. You can't go and say, oh, well, this is a cauliflower head and these are pre-packed cauliflowers. It's one bunch of spinach, one cauliflower, and a kilogram of baby marrows. And what we found in this survey is that Pick n Pay does come ahead across as the clear winner.
Okay.
In their pricing in 2014, 15, and 16. But Spar and ShopRite, funnily enough, their prices change over the years. And Checkers is also quite consistent at second. But what I really wanted to think that people should take out of that is that there's no one best place to shop. That you as the consumer need to always be alert, because the shops are watching each other, the supermarkets are watching each other, and they can change the prices as and when they like. And it's up to you if you want to be a savvy consumer, yes, you should keep an eye on the fresh vegetable prices at various stores.
That's interesting, because we had a look at different supermarkets, so also Checkers and Pick n Pay, and then we looked at Woolworths and Fruit and Veg City. And Fruit and Veg is modeled more on a market, and they were keeping their costs for loose vegetables anyway, the four that we looked at, to under 10 Rand each, whereas the other retailers were not. But what we did find, which is exactly what you've spoken to, is the difficulty in comparing, because it's almost like comparing apples and oranges. You know, this one sells loose, this one only sells bagged, this one will sell heads of cauliflower, this one sells them, pre-cut. How do they trick us? How are they using those strategies to grab the consumer and their pennies, their shekels in these very economically trying times?
Look, trick is a strong word to use, but there's no doubt that they do keep an eye on each other very closely. And I would say that they do a lot of moving the prices around, putting things in different sizes. You used to always have your gem squash in a sock, for instance, and now there are 4 in a sock and not 5 in a sock in some stores and others. And also they mix the vegetables. They call it like a spring mix. And today it's got cauliflower, spinach, and baby marrow in it. But tomorrow it might have carrots and something else in it. But this price remains the same. So they have shareholders. It's up to them to make a profit. But it's up to you as the consumer not just to blindly follow their lead and to believe that it's because it's a special that it's going to be cheaper than it is anywhere else, or that you're not going to pay for something more for something somewhere else in the store.
Yes. Vicky, I wanted to ask you, in terms of the trends that you've seen, you say you've got stats going back to 2014. What is the overall picture in terms of food prices?
Pretty grim. There's no doubt that food prices are going up by leaps and bounds. We're still not nearly as expensive as maybe as overseas, but in terms of what we earn, we are paying more and more and more for food. And
does that mean that the farmers are earning more and more, though?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. I think that because of the logistics costs, that's petrol going up and the price of feed increasing and all those other things, the guys at the bottom end of the chain are getting squeezed, unfortunately. And the bigger guys are actually taking advantage. The retailers are, in some instances, taking advantage of the consumer expecting prices to go up. And so we're occasionally seeing like 50 to 60% jumps from last month to this month in particular items, because they're just maybe just taking a chance that they can add a little bit to their profits, because they're being squeezed. It's a very, very competitive market. But unfortunately, because they have the buying power, then the little guys are getting forced out, and it's not a sustainable solution. You know, you can say, well, we can just import it, but the rand versus the dollar or the euro, and then we're also losing our own food security if we don't look after our farmers.
And jobs. I mean, countless jobs in the agricultural sector.
Hugely affecting jobs in the agricultural sector.
And if you go down the kind of chain of command, then I suppose it means a very challenging time for farm workers, because as the industry becomes more and more pressurized, maybe it's more and more difficult for them to kind of advocate for better wages or better working conditions or whatever.
Absolutely, and also there's a lot of illegal labor around that are very happy to do farm work, sometimes just for food. So we really need to have a better understanding as a consumer of the value chain, and we should be able to look and say, well, we feel that this is a fair price to pay. Even if we're paying more for it, we understand that it's a fair price because everybody is getting the right amount. But unfortunately, we as consumers don't do that. We walk into the supermarket, we're in a hurry, got to feed the kids, go back to work, and we just buy the first thing that we see. If we are on the wealthy side, and if we're on the poor side, then we just buy the cheapest thing that we can see. And unfortunately, that price is going up and up.